Hey, DS, how are you? Welcome to the show.
How are you, Heather? I'm doing fantabulous, if that's a real word. If not, I just made it up. Thank you.
It's in real word today. I'm going to write Webster right after the show. I like it. You're looking good. I'm
Awesome.
so happy that you're here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join me.
I am so happy to be here. I'm very grateful. And just thank you for this platform in general, for giving individuals the opportunity to express their art and for you giving us the opportunity to expand to a wider audience. Thank you so much for this.
The privilege is all mine, and I also want to congratulate you on being named Poetry Department Head of the Raleigh Film and Arts Festival.
Thank you so much. That indeed is an honor. Heavy is the crown, so we shall see if I am worthy to be bestowed with that title. But I'm excited at all of the opportunities that it brings.
That's really exciting. That's good. And you're also a community advocate, MC, and founder of Press Play Poets. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Press Play Poets. Can you tell me about that?
So, Press Play Poets was actually, it originated in 2018. And the idea came about that I wanted to be able to give a platform to voices that you don't normally hear. I would go to certain open mic scenes and I would see these extremely talented individuals that will engage on the open mic platform, but I wouldn't see these individuals be featured, picture on a flyer, given funds for their activity, so on and so forth. And so I wanted to change that. It really wasn't about popularity or having a large scale event. It was the opportunity to give these individuals a stage to express themselves. And it didn't matter what your skill set was. So I wasn't looking for the individual who had been performing for 10 to 15 years. I was looking for the novice. I was looking for the individual who had pages and pages of poetry, but was a bit apprehensive about sharing their gift. Those are the individuals that I wanted to target. And I got together, it was a collection of minds, and the roster has changed over time, but overall, the theme and the goal has stayed the same, has remained constant. One of the more important aspects was to be a community entity as well, right?
Mm,
So for all of our shows, admission for individuals who are 18 and under was completely free. And
awesome.
because we wanted to get the youth in there to be able to see that there is an outlet, there is a mode of expression that may not have a spotlight in their day-to-day interactions with certain media and so on and so forth. So I wanted to show them that this is here for you. And there's individuals that look like you who are doing this on a consistent basis. So that's really the core, that's the bedrock of press performance.
That's so altruistic. I feel like a lot of time, we get in front of the camera, we share our work, but you really did turn it into a community thing, and art is for everyone. And it's not for people who have books and books and books on the shelf that they've written, but it's for people who have it burning inside of them. And oh, it's ready to come out. And you're like the hand coming out of the light. Come read your poetry over here. I love it. That's awesome. That's exactly what I want to do. That's cool. All right. You actually, let's see here, you've been writing for over 16 years. So a long
Yes,
time writing and
I've
performing.
been writing for quite some time. So not 16 concurrent years. I will add that. And it's interesting because I kind of took a sabbatical around 2011, 2012. Um, I was hosting a small open mic at the time, and I just got disillusioned. And I stepped back and just got engaged and involved in life, right? But I remember the exact moment or the incident that snapped me out of this so-called sabbatical. I was on a cruise of all places. I was
Huh.
taking a break from doing the two-step. And I was talking to a gentleman and we were conversing and we were having a good volley going back and forth with ideas because he's actually a photographer in California who does very well for himself. And he stated, he's like, I can tell that you do some type of performing just by the way that you're answering these questions and how you're gesturing. So, what do you do? And I told him I used to do spoken word. He's like, used to. So, what made you stop? I gave him, I didn't go in depth, but I gave him a pretty broad answer just to kind of move on to the next topic, but he wouldn't allow me to do that. And he said something that was so profound. And it's something that stays with me here on out. And it's something that I state to individuals who have a gift and they refuse to use it for one reason or another. He says, God has given you a gift. And the fact that you are not using it, you are slapping him or her in the face. I said, wow.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. I actually was watching a documentary on Jack Kerouac, and I forget who it was, said something along the same lines. It's like you see people who aren't using their talents, and you always say to like, "Oh, what a waste. That person can do so much." But when you exercise your God-given ability, your natural talent, that is what we call genius because
Mm,
you recognize it, you realize where you are in life and your authenticity comes out. Um, there's nothing like it. And he wouldn't let you go. He saw this in you. He had you in a corner.
and
And that
he
was
had
the
me
moment.
absolutely. And you mentioned something about fulfillment, which is definitely something that we should always keep in mind about self-fulfillment and purpose. What's just as important is the ability to affect others. Your gift is not just for you, it's to be able to inspire other individuals as well. Because there's someone that's out there in which their latent abilities lay dormant, right? And they are looking for a catalyst. And your voice and your words are that catalyst. So if you refuse to exercise that, not only are you debilitating yourself, but you may be hindering someone else from reaching their full potential.
No pressure or anything. It's like, no, but no, but that makes sense because if we're a tapestry, you're being selfish by keeping it. That's a really great way to look at it, and that's kind of an easy like, that's a makes you a little more comfortable when you think about, "All right, well, I kinda cringe or I'm feeling very modest and vulnerable about this thing, but I gotta do it to advance society, like, we have to do these things."
It's my
No, but I
civic
like it.
duty.
Reading poetry, my civic duty. What a great
Yes.
duty, though. If that's like the thing that you get to do in life and that you're wonderful at. I watched you perform online at the Garner Community Arts.
Mhm.
Wow. I cannot wait for the day I get to see you perform in person. I felt it through the screen.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't even imagine what it's like being in that room and feeling the vibes. Oh, I was so moved. I had goosebumps. You do have a gift. You really do have a gift. And I'm so glad that that stranger on the cruise cornered you. He's an angel. No, that's awesome. What a really cool story. In 2018, you wrote a play, Pardon My Ashes.
Yes. So that that was catharsis all the way around. So I was in a pretty dark place at that time. A couple of relationships had been severed, unfortunately. And I was looking for direction. I was looking for inspiration. I was even questioning, should I continue with putting on programs? Should I continue with press play in general? And I was at a restaurant in downtown Raleigh, and I saw this mural of 1920s newsies, basically. And they had smut and ashes over their faces and their overalls. And I just thought of the expression that you see me now, and I'm going to continue, but I need you to part in my ashes. I need you to part in my appearance on how I am. I need you to part in my disheveled state at this moment, but I am going to get better. I am going to recover from this. And that's where the idea came from. I said, wow, let's do a play. And I got together with some other poets in my circle. And we started to develop this story of Reconstruction of African Americans during this time and chance encounters and their stories. How can we present this that's going to be unique, that's going to grab attention? Well, instead of just creating a script, let's actually just a storyboard, but let everyone be able to create their own characters and create their own spoken word pieces that's going to serve as the narrative thread. And the fact that it came together with about 9 to 10 different artistic minds
Mm.
proved that it was kismet, proved that it was destiny. Because if you think about it, you get two people in a room and we can't even decide if we want burgers or pizza.
Uh,
Now, now
yeah,
take that up a couple of notches with artists
yeah.
have their own individual way and their own scope of being able to envision things, but you're able to compromise and then come up with this grand tapestry. And that's what that play was. And it was beautiful. The
How
characters
can
are
I watch it? Like, how can if somebody wanted to watch it, is it can I why? Because
it,
you're I feel like you put this little bait out there, and I'm just this fish. I don't know why you would do that to me, but help me.
unfortunately, there is no recording
Oh,
of the play, and we actually did an encore, which was somewhat of an extension. That may be recorded from someone, but it's not professional. But what that does is that being that the people would like to see that again, that may be a spark to be able to create a prequel or sequel to that play. Wink, wink.
I would love that. That would be really cool. Oh, that would be really awesome. And you actually, I was listening to this before we started. You have a digital out. Oh, and I was singing it to you. You're welcome. Your digital album, Ink Don't Fail Me. It's
Yes.
catchy. I'm gonna have it in my head a while. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. When
Thank
did you
you.
write that?
That album has actually been in the conceptual stage has been the last 5 years. Quarantine pushed it out, to be quite honest. We had a front row seat to so many tumultuous events that happened during this phase, especially on the racial front with
Right.
George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and a host of other names. And I felt inclined that I have to write what I'm feeling about all of this. But what originally brought about the idea is that I had the opportunity to go to DC and go to the African American History Museum, in which I encourage everyone to go. I don't care what you
At
got,
one more time, you had the chance to go DC.
to the African American History Museum, the Smithsonian.
Oh, wow. Oh, neat.
Yes, I
Tell me
encourage
about it.
everyone to go because it's history. No matter what your racial background is, it is a learning experience. And I felt like I was on hollow ground when I entered that building.
Mm.
It's literally going to take you 2 to 3 days to be able to really absorb everything that you see. I only had a day and a half. But when I walked out of there is when I thought of the title of the album and I began writing songs. This was around 2015. And then from that point on, I started adding to the narrative of the album. And then the recent events during our quarantine stage just lit a spark about completing that album, and that's really where the inspiration came
Isn't that something? We go into this quarantine, and I, of course, yeah, that was a very tumultuous time. That was a horrible time. But being an artist, you found a way to bring this human expression. You allowed yourself to be a vessel, and I guess, like we were saying earlier, um, that it matters. There's change that happens, and people need to hear your words. And what was born during that time needs to be delivered to the people. God, I just love that you were able to create during that time. I like it. And if you need backup vocals, if you could just give me a call, I'm available.
right there.
I also play ukulele and tambourine. Just putting it out there. So
Absolutely. You always need a tambourine player
thank you.
for all.
I've said that always. Thank you. Oh man, I got the head bob for it too. Like, just let me know. I'm cool. Um, so yes. Do you have a poem for me?
Yes, I definitely can recite one for you. I am
Love
going to
that.
recite a piece that was actually I don't slam normally. I don't do competitive poetry, but I did this one for it was a pretty good cause. And we actually had to look at paintings and create the piece from what we saw. So this poem is called The Story of Her. And the story of her, and the painting that I basically was the inspiration for this piece, it simply had a woman who had her head down on a table.
Hmm.
And this is the story of her.
The story of her. All right.
She doesn't hang her head in defeat. She's simply adjusting the sling to mend her injured visions. If you notice, in the middle of her palms are calluses from spinning color wheels that would often land on black and blues while trying to keep control of a crown from being confiscated to appease Purple Mountain's majesty. Sipping tea, absolutely not. She's too busy brewing up storms despite disgruntled sons abandoning their post of illuminating her essence in John Lennon's imagination. Imagine theirs. No catcalls filling up hotlines after she gives cold shoulders to so-called admirers, or standing up the invitations to sit in the laps of those patriarchs. That Joan of Arc doesn't float in those thirst traps. And that's the beauty of her struggle, the victory in her vulnerability, the very thirst in her tears that allows her to chase her thoughts, but never could we dilute the potency of her passion. If heaven had a height, we are standing on the shoulders of celestials in order to christen her, and that's not even the half of her forecast. So imagine during infancy, whispered aspirations beginning to gain momentum until she's in earshot of her vision boards, fully armed, leaving the windows of her soul open to experience the gust of mind-blowing decisions. But if you notice that her head hangs low, maybe it's because gravity is jealous of her ascension. If you notice that her heart is heavy, that means that she never took love lightly. If there's a bit of a limp in her walk, that's due to her using anchors as training wheels to prepare her for life's journey. Somewhere left to center, right around rough edges, combing through insecurity, breaching passwords to punctuate her presence at the end of life's sentence, while using the hands of time to stretch seconds into infinity. She doesn't hang her head in defeat. She's simply using the table as a sounding board because most have gone deaf to her silence. She is poking holes in their theories like side slits. And she hasn't been shy since the side splits on that skeletal anatomy as she shows off her angel wings in front of demon eyes, that they're demonized her presence as being nothing more than a devil in a dress. So maybe she needs a couple of more moments of rest, especially after the many attempts of plucking that wildflower that grows outside of the exit of Eden, when she realized she is more than just Adam's rib. She is the very backbone infused into neglected goddesses left abandoned on forgotten memory lanes. She doesn't hang her head in defeat. She's simply waiting for the next time to rise in peace.
You got that from a painting? Really? That was amazing. Do you know the title of the painting? Is it something I want to Google it. I want to see this painting. There's so much I loved about that. The can you read that line? I know, listen, I can watch this over and over again, but I'm in the moment right now. And could you please read like the two or three lines starting with the cat calls? I felt that.
Okay. Let me go back.
Oh, you didn't just freestyle that. Do you have it in front of you?
No, it's just from memory.
Never mind. I'll rewatch it. Wow, wait a minute. This is from memory. Well, you did write it, but I'm like trying to focus. There's so much in there. And I just, even if I tried to take notes, I couldn't write that fast. Um, oh, I'm so happy to have this on tape because I want to hear it over and over again. Because where else would somebody find that? Do you have a book that you put this in yet?
So the book has not been released as of yet. That's one of the projects that we're working on. And I am going to be releasing a spoken word album called Selective Hearing. And that piece will be on the album. It may be a future single as well. That'll be on my page. So I'll keep you abreast of everything.
Definitely. And as you do, I'll re-edit the show notes to include that. Um, wow. You really do have a talent. It's like when you read, people can hear the words you're saying, like they're not lost, and they've got a beautiful flow. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And you have another one.
I do. So this one is called Kicks. So this is the one that is currently on my YouTube page, and actually the one that you saw um, me perform at the Garner Performing Arts Center. And just a tad bit of a background for this poem before I go into it.
Yeah.
I'm always inspired by the tangible and the intangible, especially films. So there was a film called Kicks that shares the same name, and it told the story of this young man lived in impoverished conditions and low self-esteem, was often bullied. He happens to come across some fashionable sneakers, some name brand sneakers, some pair of Jordans. And when he wore these Jordans, literally his life changed. And it sounds like a fantasy, but it's quite accurate when you live in that type of environment, because it's so connected to one's self-esteem
Hmm.
and how you're perceived by your peer group as well. So he instantly became popular. But however, someone stole the sneakers, and you can see this young man who was non-threatening begin to go into this descent of desperation, doing anything that was possible to retrieve these sneakers, even if it meant life or death, because that's how important it was to the foundation of his self-esteem and his value. So this is where that poem comes
Okay, I'm gonna let you perform this, but then I have so many more questions.
from.
Gosh, wait a minute. Okay, when I must have heard this poem 20 times, and I thought maybe it was from personal experience. You got this from a movie.
Well, it is somewhat personal experience
Oh,
as
and
well, but
personal experience, but you feel things. But I feel like you must be so empathetic that you see Newsies with the ash, and it resonates with you this painting, and you were able to write something so beautiful. How what a gift. All right, I'm not gonna gush. I'm not gonna this isn't gonna be a gush fest. I want to hear this beautiful poem, but I really am so touched and moved by your talents.
thank you.
Please.
Thank you. You ever notice that the word gardens is usually associated with the names of project buildings and apartment complexes, but rarely is the grass greener on the other side, only lit to form these accumulus clouds that hover next to flickering bodega lights. And that usually means a new idea is attempting to be born. But you're probably going to come up short if you're looking to transform your thoughts into pennies. In other words, where I'm from, poverty is not a fad sponsored by Banana Republic. And hanging tongues from sneakers aren't required for following in the footsteps of trendsetters. See, mom wears the pants around these parts, and no matter how many times we visit coin operated laundromats, our collars are never going to be quite white. So I guess it's true what they say that clothes do make the man. It's the reason why these J's on my feet are worth more than any letters you'll discover on my report card. Now, some may view that as being an Achilles heel. I see it as being a step up from being stomped on the yard or served another helping of the baker's dozen, but still not enough dough to get the new addition. So these tears prove I can't stand the rain, but NE heartbreak can be mended with true religion conversion, especially after we finally understand how these prophets work. I'm still healing. Scratch that. Still reeling of initial rejection of round the way girls who child support heals will take them somewhere over the rainbow where they can view syndicated episodes of Living Color before falling prey to cults of personality, leaving nothing behind but Grey's Anatomies. Pride and name recognition is tied together like a Windsor, but I'm not trying to create a noose, just another afternoon of me and the homies hanging because we peep what you're trying to do. Create these so-called bridges over poverty straight into the sunken place, dookie rope chain of fools linked to popping tags on that trail of tears wasn't supposed to be native to those Americans making reservations at the Section 8, but never enough for just the 10 of us. Spoon feeding, political rhetoric, but what do I bring to the table? My worth was never measured in your livestock. To survive in this animal farm, you have to have the meanest of struts and the latest of trends and hope for the impeachment of dead presidents so someone can finally represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. You better not have a bootlegged gait if you want to keep up with the movers and shakers. Make sure your strides are authentic in order to capture a new balance. As in these kicks, I no longer wish I was a little bit taller. I'm standing on top of the skulls of ridicules, tearing down the poster childs of stick-up kids who wish they could possess these souls, because if you took a step in my old pair, you'll realize the blisters I've suffered from following in Christ's path and climbing up the shoulders of my ancestors to reach the lobes of my classmates. But unfortunately, they're not really trying to hear that. I'm sick of breaking ankles and crossing over simply to reach the circumference of the in crowd. So if popularity is the desperate cousin of acceptance, you tell old girl to save me the last dance on prom night. Because I don't have anything else. In other words, feet, don't fail me now. And peace.
Oh, man. Name recognition and pride is tied together like a Windsor. But I'm not trying to create another noose. Everything. There's just so much as usual. All right, listen. You obviously take from your surroundings and you're empathetic and you feel things, you see an image and already you can feel what's going on in there. Do you write every day? Do you write often? What's it like? What's it like to be you? DS? Help me.
So like,
No, but how do you does it come easy? Do you have to set time aside or do you find yourself in the grocery store line jotting down notes on your phone? Like tell me what it's like. Do you write in the morning? Give me all your secrets.
I it's it's a blessing and curse, to be quite honest. I call it the octopus effect. Um, when you go out, your tentacles are always flailing. It's not something you can necessarily turn on and off because it's just who you are. So you're always absorbing your surroundings. It's very active. When I'm driving, I'm often looking at scenery to
Yeah.
see where something can be shot or how I can incorporate that into a piece. So it's something that's active and it can be exhausting. I usually don't have set times to write, like, all right, noon every day, I'm going to write a piece. Again, it's all about being organic because I feel that's when you get the best product. Not saying that structure and being planned doesn't result in something worthwhile, but for me, it's all natural. And I call my style of writing, I call it string theory. Basically being able to take various concepts and ideas and building bridges to connect the two.
I could tell you're somebody who sees patterns and things that most people might not find a connection between. But for you, it's very easy, and you're able to, this is really interesting. I am so gonna get into your head tonight. I'm excited. Wait till you see what I've got planned. Wow.
I'm
Oh,
excited as well.
so would you consider yourself, I think I understand what you're saying. Like, does do you get overwhelmed when there's a lot of loud noise, a lot of activities, lots of colors because you are so absorbing everything that I mean, I just know that that's how I get. It's like, whew, I need a second here because you're feeling, tasting, touching everything with your tentacles. I guess that was an awesome way to put it.
Yes. it's funny because there's certain loud noises that I'm not bothered by. I love festivals and live music events.
Hmm.
So if the loud noise is palatable and it's something that is in conjunction with what I'm feeling, I have no problem with that. But I do prefer quiet spaces. I don't like a bevy of simultaneous dialogue going on as well because
Cacophony, yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm very sensitive to that, and it can be jarring. So I have to escape sometimes. Yeah. So
So we
it's
won't find you hanging out at the fire station waiting for the bell to go off?
no,
Yeah.
no.
No. No, it's gotta be a good sound. Oh, I've got some questions for you. Is this a good time?
Hey, let's go.
Hey, well, first
I'm
of
following
all,
your lead.
awesome, man. All right, so I noticed that you end your signature, you sign your messages with one equals two. Is that okay to bring up? I should, well, tell me
Yes.
what is that? I'm curious.
So one is short for one love.
Hmm.
Think of the Bob Marley song, and I'm
Hmm.
from up north, so we have an expression that when we're leaving a situation or we're ending a conversation with someone, we'll say something like one. So one basically represent love, love. So you have love
Oh,
equals the two represents two fingers or peace. So ultimately, one equals two is love equals peace.
oh man, I'm gonna steal that. You're from New Jersey.
Originally, yes.
Originally, me too. Yeah, yeah.
What part?
Oh, I mean, I was so young. I was born in Elizabeth and grew up in Union. Do you know
Oh,
you know what you know what part of the highway that's on? You know what exit that is?
I'm from Jersey City, so Elizabeth is considered a neighboring city, and
Oh,
I'm very familiar with Union. I actually used to work in Union. It's the last place I worked at before I moved.
really? Wow,
Yeah.
this is a small world. We had to meet up in North Carolina. That's pretty cool. I love that. One equals two. I like that a lot. Okay, so normally, all right, normally I get creatives on here and I ask them like hippy dippy questions, and there are no right or wrong answers. I had something special. I still have something special planned for you, but I don't want you to miss out on the hippy dippiness. So,
Okay.
I'm gonna give you this. Okay.
Okay. I'm all for it.
Which is itchier, curiosity or a wool sweater?
A wool sweater. And I say that because I have memories of trying to tear off a wool sweater because of the agitation of the skin. Curiosity more it's more of a burning almost sensation.
Ah,
It's not really an agitant. It's a flare, and I have to quench it. I have to extinguish it. Nothing beats a wool sweater.
curiosity burns, wool
Yes.
itches. I
Yeah.
like that. And don't you want to like use that curiosity to set fire to that damn wool sweater? That's perfect.
Look at you
We
bridging the
find
concepts
patterns.
together.
We are pattern finders. I love it.
Yes.
This is I'm vibing on
Into
this.
that one.
Um, hey, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, I've always been fascinated with water. So when I was a child, I wanted to be an oceanographer.
An
Mhm.
oceanographer.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. If you 12-year-old you were sitting next to you right now, what do you think he would think of you today?
He would be surprised. He wouldn't think that he would become someone who's interested in literature and does poetry and things of that nature. And then he would want to know when we're going to play Super Nintendo.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. 12-year-old.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm excited to know what your answer is for this. What is the closest thing to real magic?
Connection,
Connection.
connection, organic connection and chemistry. That's magic.
Agreed. 100%. That's better than I could have ever answered it. You nailed it. That's right. Okay. Describe your best friend in 3 words.
Uninhibited, honest, and loyal.
All right. I like that. All right. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Malcolm X.
And if you could, what would you ask him?
How were you comfortable with the fact knowing that you did not have long on this?
Say that one more time.
Or how are you able to sleep at night knowing that your time on this earth was limited?
Ooh, that's interesting because all of ours is. But it would be interesting to pick his brain. I would wonder what words would come out of his mouth for that. That's a good one. All right, so those are normal questions, but I'm not doing that with you tonight. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm curious because you're very brilliant. Okay, you've got a lot going on. No, I'm not. Don't be modest with me. Don't be modest here. But you obviously have it all going on for you, and I want to challenge you. I didn't want to give you those easy things. All right, so we're gonna do a rapid fire word association game. You want to play?
Okay.
All
Let's
right.
go.
I don't want you to think about this. I'm going to give you a word and you just shoot back what you think. Okay. Burn,
Fire,
wings,
bird,
follow,
leader,
blue,
warmest color,
risk,
calculated,
gun,
death,
ponder.
thought provoking,
Okay. Loyalty,
friendship,
truth,
absolute,
essential,
needed,
fascinating,
intriguing,
calm,
storm,
cold,
hearted.
interesting. Let me make a phone call for a minute. No, just kidding. I just find it fascinating. It's interesting. What is your favorite word? Do you have one?
I love the word cornucopia.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. My little niece, when she was like 3 or 4, she couldn't say anything right. But you asked her to say cornucopia, and it was like she created the word. That's awesome. All right, I've got one more thing here. You're such a good sport. This is going to be a little fun. I've never done this with anyone before, but so sometimes I get the inspiration. I'm going to half of the night, like when I'm showering or getting ready, and I think about my guests, and I think like, start thinking about them and I'm like, what feels right? I
Mhm.
made you Rorschach blocks. All right.
Oh my, yes.
You should feel special. I made these
Let's
especially for you, Rorschach
let's
blocks.
let's go.
All right. See, I told you I was going to get into your head. All right. No right or wrong answer.
A Dalmatian superhero.
Superhero. Yeah, the cape. Okay. I like
Yes,
it.
like
A Dalmatian superhero. It could look like a Dalmatian rug or so. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. Hold on just a second.
okay.
Huh.
Mm. A perplexed butterfly.
Yeah. All right. Let me just hold it up 1 second longer so people can say, what the hell is he talking about? Okay, cool. Just 2 more. Okay, I really like this one.
See a girl, a woman attempting to double dutch.
Oh, I could see that actually. I think I see what you're saying. A woman attempting to double dutch. These are going on my fridge. Do you want me to drive over there after this and put them on your fridge? Just let me, you know what? Think about it. You don't have to, I don't
I
want to put you on the
will.
spot. Okay, one more, okay?
Let's go for it.
This one's gonna throw you off.
Ah, I see purity.
You see purity?
Hmm.
Oh, you're so sweet. I was expecting something like smart alecky. Like I had a ton in my head, but you're right. I can see what you're saying. The whiteness in the heart, so full of empty space, ready to be filled. So much, and it's infantile. Yeah, it's in its infancy. Yeah. All right. Well, you passed. Your card will be in the mail. Your sane poetry card. I just
And
made
a
it up.
and a tambourine as well. Please, please.
Wait, did you see? Don't start with me. Right.
Yes.
So we're gonna get together. We're gonna create another album. All right. It's
Let's
gonna be
go.
mostly tambourine, mostly poetry. You and I, we're gonna do it. Uh,
Let's go.
one and
Can I
two.
can I tell you something quickly about the tambourine?
Absolutely. Yes, please.
So I was watching a Chris Rock special that was named Tambourine, and I was trying to figure out like what in the world, like what does this instrument have to do with this stand-up comedy special? And he was talking about relationships, and it was so poignant. He said relationships can be easy, but we choose to make them hard. You have to imagine with your partner or with your group of individuals in your circle that you're all in a band, right? And there's always going to be a time for someone to be the lead of that band. And there's going to be time for someone to be in the background playing the tambourine.
Mm.
In order for your relationships to be successful, you have to be just as happy playing the tambourine as you are when you are the lead singer.
Oh, you. And why? Always with the patterns. That's so great. You picked up on that because he spoke your language when he said that.
Yes,
Oh man. What if you're always comfortable playing tambourine? Like it
that that's fine. Like you have some people who are comfortable with being supporters in the background.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it was, really more so towards the fact that you have to be comfortable with supporting other individuals' dreams and visions, and we all are going to have our time to shine. You have to be patient. You mentioned something. We're speaking off air about there's such a desire to be instantly gratified nowadays, right?
Mhm.
And I always use the example of movies. Before you would have to go into your vehicle and go to a video rental place and hope that Care Bears Return to Dream Cloud was available.
That was your
and,
movie too? Yes. Yes. Oh my
and,
goodness.
and you would rush home and you would watch that movie. And even if you weren't thoroughly entertained, you're probably going to watch it more than once because there was effort to get that tape.
Effort.
Now we sit down and we turn on our favorite streaming network and we take hours to select something. And when we do, if we're not satisfied within the first 10 minutes, we turn it off and we are just continually not satiated.
We don't invest. All right. I know this is going to sound silly, but I often romanticize 1994, although I was in like fourth and third grade, but I get very overwhelmed. We're very accessible. I get so many messages, text messages a day. I'm not complaining. I feel very loved in a society and a time right now where we're all feeling isolated. I feel very, very loved. But part of me feels like sometimes it waters it down. I remember writing letters. I have this typewriter. I use it. I write letters. It's like a meditation. I want to take my time I want to craft something. I want to put a bow on it. I want to give it thought. But this constant interruption and this urgency to get back to people, I understand. I don't want to be on Dateline. So, I'll make sure there's somebody. I'm like, yeah, I'm still alive. What do you want? But yeah, it kind of interrupts that quiet creativity that we're going through. I'm glad that you said that. We are very much in a now society. And I was saying how I've gotten the only feedback I've gotten about doing this is, shorten it up so people can, get on with their day. It's like, that does not matter. This is a craft. It's important for you. I think of posterity. I want this to always be around. And if God forbid anything happens to us tomorrow, this will be watched by our loved ones. And that's what matters. Our time here matters. It's not this just hurry up, I got something else to do. You know what? Then go watch Care Bears. Okay. May I recommend the Hanson Christmas special? Hey,
Yes, you can.
speaking
Absolutely.
of music, actually, well, first of all, I want to ask you about that. But hey, if somebody wanted to follow you on social media and keep and be abreast of your happenings, how can they find you?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of routes that you can go. If you are an IG, Instagram aficionado, you can find me at If You Won't, DS Will. That's one term. And that's also another one of my slogans. YouTube is where you can actually see the visuals in their entirety. And you simply type in DS Will, and I will pop up, most likely with a hat. And on Facebook, you can also find me under the same moniker of DS Will as well.
All right, I'm going to get those from you too. Make sure they're in the show notes for anyone. They could just click on it. All right. So the very last thing that I like to do with my guests, I like to know what people are passionate about, what they're interested in, and I think one way to do that is through music.
Mhm.
If you have a song you could recommend to me while I put this together and do what I need to do, I would love to listen to it.
Music is my love language. It really is.
Nice. That's cool.
All genres. So my favorite song of any genre is Simply Red's Holding Back the Years.
Holding back the years?
Hmm.
Why do I think who's this who sings it again?
Simply Red. You'll know it instantly as soon as you hear it. It's an 80s song.
Oh yeah, holding by the ears. Oh, I'm thinking. Okay, I'm thinking Steely Dan, reeling in the years. Okay, holding back the years. I've
Hmm.
not. Okay, I bet I will recognize an interest instantly. So, all right, cool. I'm gonna give it a listen. DS, we're gonna be coming out of quarantine soon. You're gonna be mad busy with poetry performance and everything. I really enjoyed my time with you. Would you please do me the honor of coming back again?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, thank you so much for your artistry, the platform, and the opportunity. And I send positive vibes for this to be a continuous institution. Thank you so much.
Your blessing. You take care. All right. I'll see you soon.
One equals two.